Network with Justin Fensterman.
Kind of like Adam Ronis, Colby. What are a few players that have bust potential this year?
And Adam Ronis.
Like Justin Fensterman, Carlos Correa failed multiple physicals. Should we be concerned about Correa's health going into drafts?
Gosh, you two don't take a break from each other, do you?
Take it away, boys.
Even if we wanted to, we just couldn't because the playbook is live here on Bettor Sports Network. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Fensterman, and this handsome devil over here is Adam Ronis. What's going on, Rome man? How's everything?
I'm good. I could use a foot massage, but I'm good.
Okay, what? You want me to give you a foot massage now?
Not you. No, I don't want your hands on my feet. Get out of here.
What, you don't think I have clean hands?
No, I just don't think. I don't want your hands giving my foot a massage. I will take it from a female.
I don't want my feet massaged.
Oh, dude, it is
I'm
great.
ticklish, bro.
Nah, I am a little bit, but I love it, man. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm not into it, dude.
I am.
I guess I'm just too ticklish right there.
I
and then you have to give one in return.
Not always, no.
Come on.
Dude, not me. I don't have to.
I've never given a foot massage before.
I mean, I don't know if I give it a full one, but slightly, but yeah.
I know one person who would like one. Rex
Ooh.
Ryan.
Oh yeah. No, he wants to lick feet, not get a massage.
Oh, wow. You took it there, but I guess it's kind of true in a way here. Rowan, to start things off here, because we're going to be having a little bit of fun here, we're going to bring our producers. Producing today's debacle already is the resource AB Adam Bernard. Bernard has some hockey plays for us, subbing in for Josh Wagner from fantasyalarm.com, who normally visits with us. Bernard, a little bit later on, is going to give some hockey bets. Very excited about that. We also have Tony Rivers with us, Anthony Rivera. Both of them are going to join us to give some predictions, division winners, World Series winner, especially with the season coming up in just a few days, man. And whenever the baseball season starts, I'm just always thinking about being at the ballpark, man. And I've said this to you before. There's nothing, when it comes to sports, there's nothing like being at a baseball game. You just get to enjoy the experience. You get to enjoy the atmosphere around you. Even though the games are now a little bit shorter than what we're accustomed to seeing due to new rules, there's still like enough downtime where you could appreciate where you're at. Whereas with basketball, with hockey, you're constantly watching back and forth. So that's where your focus remains. And I just can't wait to get back to the ballpark, man. I mean, you're going back sooner than I am probably. I have to decide. I'm like right in the middle of Nats Park and Camden Yards with where I am in Maryland. I'm just pumped, man. Being at the ballpark is just so much fun.
Yeah, I can't really go to as many games because of this show. So it's the truth. I mean, we end at 7. The Mets start at 7. How am I supposed to go to a game Monday through Friday? So that
Would you rather be on the show anyway?
No, I'd rather be at a Mets game. But anyway.
Yeah.
And then Sundays I play softball. So getting to, I mean, the starts are 1:40. So I might be able to, if we mercy rule someone, I might be able to get there. So Saturday is kind of my only day. But as of right now, I am going on Easter because there's no softball that day. So the Mets are home. So that will be my first game. So I believe that's April 9th, a week from this Sunday. So yeah, I do plan to go that day.
So someone actually asked me this question because by the way, thank you very much for getting me the Gary Cohen bobblehead that you told me that you sold. And then you told me you gave it to somebody
I bought
else.
it back.
So you do?
I bought it back.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you wanted it back. I'm like, no, it's mine. No backsies. Okay. But dude, let me ask you this here, because if I have access to tickets for that May 31st game. Now, this is a risk on my part. I don't know what day of the week May 31st.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay, you can. What day of the week is it?
It is a Wednesday.
Okay, that's not ideal because then it's to sacrifice. I'd be potentially doing the show solo so that you can get to Citi Field as early as you've ever gotten there before so you can secure a house.
I'll do it. Okay, here's the deal. I'll get it for you. But you're going to have to, obviously, I will not be able to be here. And then I have another work assignment. So if you pay that shift to me, then I will go get it for you.
All right. So pretty much what the deal is for you to go get it for me, I have to get you the tickets to the game, and I have to take on the the solo show, which okay, I could do. And then
you can get someone to fill in.
Yeah, but just in case, it's a solo show. Like you might have to take a vacation day. You realize that?
Well, I don't think I have those anymore.
You see the look on his face? No deal.
Why would I take a vacation day to do you a favor?
Well, you got to remember, you're the one that's taking the day off.
Yeah, so, but okay, if I don't go, you're not getting
Super Mario World where I can just transfer you my extra lives and AKA vacation days. Doesn't work like that.
No,
this is not a draft.
It doesn't have to be a vacation day. It's just I need off. That's all. I just
it's a vacation day, but that's
no, it's
okay.
not.
So
we don't have vacation days anymore.
So here's the deal. Hang on. Okay, we do have vacation days. We better still have vacation days. Let me just say this though. So at this point, just so I know what the deal on the table is, I have to get you the tickets, and then you're going to be off the show, and then I have to take on an additional assignment that you have.
No, you have to pay me for the shift that I'll be missing.
Oh my God. What? Dude, how much do you expect me to spend on this bobblehead?
I mean, do you want it? I
want it, but dude, if I'm getting you tickets and you're expecting me to pay you some kind of show rate as well.
Yeah.
I'm better off just buying it on eBay then.
No, it's not authentic then.
It is authentic.
No, it's not. It could be fake. If I go, it's going to be real.
Okay, but here's the deal.
Okay, so what's a fair deal then?
A fair deal is it's almost like you just get the tickets. You get to go to the game for free.
Okay.
Good seats.
What about tolls, gas?
You get a free parking spot too.
Free? What about the tolls and the
food? That you're not getting. That you're on your own.
I mean, so I'm losing money on this deal. I'm losing a show shift.
You're not losing money. You're not losing money because
yes, I am.
You would have spent tickets on the game.
But I wouldn't go to the game if it wasn't for you. I'd be working. I'm making money.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me, I'm just going to name, you're telling me if Rick Wolf, who invites you to opening day every single year in the next 2 days, said, hey, Ronus, I know you got the show, but screw the show. Come to opening day with me. You wouldn't take it?
I probably would because
yes, you would.
He's higher up than me. So if he's inviting me, then he's basically saying it's okay. So, yeah, although that is impossible because, as usual, you're taking that day off for the Mets home opener.
Yes. Yes, I guess I am.
The Mets open on the road, so they open next Thursday, so I can't go.
Well, first of all, why would the Mets put their home opener on Passover?
Well, there are games that day. What do you want them to do? That's the schedule. Right. They play on Easter.
They do play on Easter.
It's equal opportunity. Everyone.
No, listen, I agree, man. They do.
Okay. They play Mother's Day, Father's Day, Flag Day, Memorial Day.
Yeah. No, they play
Labor Day.
Holidays. Yes. No, they do play all those holidays.
So there you go. What do you want?
That's why, because it's the first day of Passover is their home opener.
Wait, Adam Bernard is taking shots at me that I'm the impossible guy to make fantasy trades with. How am I being?
I'm saying right now you're behaving in that method with everything you're asking.
But how am I being unreasonable here? He's asking me to take off and lose money. He will pay for the tickets. Great. I
was with you till you started asking for like gas and tolls. It's like, all right, how much do you really want? He's paying for your parking. He
didn't initially say he was paying for parking. I brought that up and he said, okay, I'll pay for parking.
No. I'm saying you get a free spot on the deal, and then you.
How do I get a free spot?
Because the tickets I'm getting you include a free spot. I said that in the negotiation.
Also, you got a hookup.
Yes.
So you're not even spending. So you're never spending any money on the tickets.
What's that?
You're not even spending any money on the tickets.
No, I'm going to be spending a little, not as much as I normally would be for those rip-off prices. It's not as bad as Yankee Stadium, I'm sure. But still, how much money do you think I'm going to be sinking into?
Yeah, I do. I agree. I want I want the steak sandwich and a foam finger.
Listen, that's going to cost me well over $200 at that point, without even including the tickets.
I mean, do you want this bobblehead collection?
I do, but here's the deal. Here's where you're trying to stack the deck against me here, and here's the information that I know. This is why everybody out there, what lessons can you learn from this? You got to know the people that you're dealing with here, because I know that you're not paid on a per show rate and you're salaried, and so because of that, it's not like you're necessarily losing money.
Do you know? There's 2 shows that Wednesday, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah.
what I'm
Well,
talking
not. You
about.
know what? You know what, dude? You know what? You can sacrifice, and you.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
could?
taking 300.
I'm
You can
I'm
sacrifice.
already sacrificing a
But
couple,
but think about it. If you were going to go to the opening day, you
Mhm.
wouldn't. This wouldn't even be an issue.
but
For
I'm
you.
not going opening day
No, you're going on
because
the
of
most
you.
important night.
Because of you.
Yep. What you're going? Oh,
I
because of
said I
me?
can't go to
Yeah.
opening day because you. Someone contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to go to opening day? I could take off work." I go, "I can't."
Listen, we can ask John to do the show solo. Okay,
You
never
think
mind.
John is going to do this show solo?
No, he will not.
Okay.
He will not, and it won't be allowed there.
Does
So
Adam want
I
to
have
co-host with him?
maybe Bernard
Right?
with his hockey. By the way, you know what? Why am I even negotiating with you, Anthony Rivera? Let's go. Come on air for a second, please. Okay, because you're a lot nicer of a guy in this situation. I
Oh,
feel
get
like
out
you're
of here.
like Anthony. If I said to you now, here's the problem. I know Anthony is a big Mets guy. He wants this bobblehead. So the big question is at this point, because he can't go solo and get two unless he's willing to sacrifice his bobblehead for this. But Anthony, May 31st, what are you doing, man? I mean, what does it have to take? Do I get you
No.
the free tickets in the parking spot and you just
busy.
get me, you bring one of your friends and they just know, though, whoever you bring, that bobblehead that's going to them is going to me at the end of the day. What do you think about that deal?
Absolutely. I do that stuff all the time for people.
There you go. So see, just like that, I don't even have to pay him any kind of extra show shift or anything, Roan. He's just willing to do it for me.
Well, you're
And
not
parking's
guaranteed.
now $40. So
What'd you say?
parking's now $40.
Yeah,
That's
you know what though? Honestly, I don't need the parking because I park in the street and walk because it gets me my steps in. Plus, I like avoiding the parking lot. So most of the time, see, the thing is, I know that area, so I know where to park. It can be difficult. It's gotten more difficult over the years, but I will walk half a mile. I don't care because, like I walk every day working from home. So
if you're telling me that you can find free parking a half a mile away, I will drive to that stadium for the rest of my life. And not
I do it all the time at Citi Field.
Yeah,
all the time.
There's
an occasion.
Half a mile is nothing, man. Half a mile is 10, 13-minute walk.
It's Corona. You park around there. There's even some good restaurants around. Not directly immediately. You got to go further down Roosevelt, but there's a lot of good restaurants over there. But yeah, I always park over there. I used to go to the deli, get a sandwich, and bring that into the stadium. I think they still let you bring in food. I haven't done it lately though. They do let you bring in water if it's unopened.
Wow, that's interesting that they still let you bring
because
in
if it's open, they think you have liquor in there.
Right, of course. That's cruise ship style. That's how apparently I've never been on a cruise, but that's what people who have been on cruises have talked to me about before, how to sneak in some vodka so they can have their own
you got to
ball.
put it like in a shampoo bottle or something.
It's a whole process there
because that's where they make their money is on the liquor.
Right, exactly. Or you have someone who's nifty enough that can make like they're resealing your water bottles. You bring a case of water, but really it's not water that's in those bottles.
The alcoholics in this country, man.
Yeah, I know. I mean, seriously. Hey, listen, people, like you said, alcohol costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I can only
imagine.
imagine.
Everything costs money now.
I mean, you told me at one of the Mets games last year, you had maybe 2 or 3 Jack and Cokes or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was like this drink. It was 3. My friend
and your friend bought them for you. I guarantee you, with tip, he probably spent close to $50 on those 3 drinks for you.
Oh no, more than that. The drinks were like 24.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
jeez.
So he bought about 6, and he's a generous tipper. So yeah. He probably spent 150, 160. It's crazy, man.
I have not been to.
And then when we went to UBS to see Impractical Jokers a couple weeks ago, he bought 1 drink. He's like, "You want?" I'm like, "Nah," and it was like $22
for 1 liquor drink.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was cool? I mean, before now they use the little like jigglers now where it measures out the shot for you, those bottles. But back like before a few years ago, I felt like you used to get your money's worth getting liquor at the games because there would be a lot of generous pours. So they don't really care too much. But now, you know what I'm talking about? Those things on the bottles.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched Bar Rescue before, they literally.
I haven't.
Yeah, they literally. It's a good show. Measure out a shot though, and that's really what it is. So you really don't get any more after that. You haven't been to Yankee Stadium in a while, right?
No, definitely. It's been at least. I don't think I've gone. Have I gone in the last 3 years? I don't think so.
Bernard, have you gone to Yankee Stadium at all recently? I know you live on the other side of the country.
I mean, I moved out here 6+ years ago, but before then, I went to the new stadium all the time, both for concerts and Yankee games.
I mean, what are prices like when it comes to food and drinks at Yankee Stadium? Like, I haven't been to Yankee Stadium since 2008, the final year of the old one.
So if you're going to go just for your typical like stadium fare, hot dogs, fries, it's comparable to any other venue. Okay. But if you're going to get like the special set, like, like the places, the restaurants that have a stand in the stadium, like, I don't know what they are now. It's been so long, but those can get expensive. Like I remember getting like a prime rib sandwich for like $24. Now it was good and they give you a lot, but I mean, you're still spending $24 on a sandwich at a ball game.
Yeah, man, I'm a tenders and fries guy at the game. I'll have a hot dog every so often because, I mean, I don't really like hot dogs. I only eat them at baseball games. I'm a tenders and fries guy, though. That's what I.
Anytime I go to a new baseball stadium, I have to get the hot dog. I have to try the hot dog anytime I go to a new baseball stadium.
Nice. I mean, if you go to PNC Park, you could get Primanti Bros. But here's the deal: go get your food before the game. There's always a line. Everyone wants to go there. It's a fixture in Pittsburgh. Rowan, what do you get at the game? The chicken salad?
What?
You're a healthy guy.
No, I try to eat healthier. It doesn't mean that I'm do it all the time.
I guess the healthy item.
No, sometimes I do get the burger. Sometimes the chicken. They do have Shake Shack there, but the line is usually very long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, chicken, hot dog, burger, and they don't even fill you up. And they cost a lot of money.
It does, man. Going to a game, man, like I used to say, even back when Nats Park was just opening up, where the Nationals used to play the old RFK, they were giving away tickets to the military section. I literally would be multiple times be given tickets, and they're like, all you need to do is when we salute the military veterans in your section, just stand up, clap, and wave your cap. That's all you have to do for these tickets. That was the most cheery one there. And they're mid-level seats. They're in the 200s too, where we were getting them. Makes me wonder if I can go to Nats Park today and get that kind of deal. That would be amazing. So with that, we're going to talk about the latest news in sports because we have a team that's looking like it's calling it quits. We'll talk about that in just a second. But then before we talk about anything else NBA related, before we talk about our predictions when it comes to MLB division winners and World Series champion, we have to give our Playbook first play of the day. All right, Ronas, to me, all prop research, like I told you before, brings me back to those New Orleans Pelicans in the pace-up spot despite coming off a game last night. My prop that I'm going to go with for the first play of the day is going to be Jonas Valanciunas over 26.5 points plus rebounds. It's gotten a little juicy, but it's still one that I like to play. You can almost count on 13 to 15 boards from this guy a lot lately. The scoring, it's been great as well. The minutes, it's been committed. And with that, still not worried about it being the second leg of a back-to-back. I'm still thinking he's playing around 30. Give me the over on Valanciunas. 26.5 points plus rebounds against those Warriors who suck at guarding the posts. What about you?
Yeah, I was on Valanciunas over 11.5 rebounds last night. Easy cash. He had 21. Tonight, I'm going back to my guy, Jalen Williams of the Thunder. Again, Jalen. Make sure you get it correct. Over 24.5 points and assists. I got it at -115 on Bet365. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out. The last 7 games with no SGA, the usage rate is 23.6% for Williams. Great spot here against Charlotte. 2 teams that play at a fast pace. So Jalen Williams over 24.5 points and assists tonight.
Jalen Williams, a good call, tends to go off with no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So with me going with Valanciunas over 26.5 points plus rebounds, and those are the Playbook's first plays of the day. While we're on Jalen Williams, Rome, want to ask you about this prop. I know that you didn't go with this exact combination, but you still cool with the PRAs being at 30.5 for him tonight.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
think the scoring is going to put him in the 20s alone, man. I
expect him to score. I mean, his points prop is 19.5, but he does a little bit of everything. And with no SGA, should get some more assists. Of course, Giddey will get some assists too. But we saw a game. Let me see if this game here. with no SGA against the Spurs, who are probably as bad as the Hornets right now. I mean, I know the Hornets have been better defensively, but they're missing a lot of guys. And that game, he had 21 points, 10 assists. So I kind of expect something like that. Giddy even had 5 assists in that game. So I expect a similar performance like that tonight.
Some pieces of NBA news that came out. First, no surprise here. Ben Simmons is not going to return for the rest of the season. I know, man. It's very upsetting. I'm sure Nets fans are really feeling bad about this one. The guy's pretty much done nothing since he's come to Brooklyn. That hasn't changed at all. So not really a loss for the Nets. But then maybe the bigger story, more reports coming out that Damian Lillard will not suit up again for the final few weeks of the NBA's regular season. We've been hearing this for the last week now. They've also held out Yusuf Nurkic, the Blazers. Jeremy Grant's been out, and Anthony Simons has been out. So that's why we've been talking a lot more shade and sharp. And this is no surprise, Ron, that Portland's packing it in. They just don't have the roster composition to compete. As good as Damian Lillard is, really, when you're seeing consistency plus taking the health into consideration of this team, I don't want to say he's all they got, but he's most of what they have. And they certainly don't have too much else outside of Jeremy Grant's good mid-range shooting and Anthony Simons' ability to being able to create off the ball. Don't have much more after that.
Yeah, we knew this was coming. They talked about it over the last couple of weeks, and this team has just been falling further out of the play-in tournament. So it sucks because I love watching Dame Lillard in some big spots. Love watching him in the postseason. He's doesn't care. He's not afraid to take the big shot. I would love to see him, reach an NBA Finals, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen with this Blazers team, unfortunately.
No, I mean, how do they build from here? Where do they go? I still question whether or not they gave up too quickly on Lillard McCollum. I thought that maybe they should keep both intact. Then you work on getting a better center there. And then all of a sudden you got yourself a very high-powered offensive backcourt, plus maybe a good defensive center. That's a better combination and can make them rise in the standings. And it's easy to build around those guards, especially with how scoring happy that they are. But instead, they traded McCollum away. They tried a half rebuild, didn't really work out. They had Josh Hart, who was good defensively. Obviously, things changed for them once they traded him around the deadline. And at this point, they need some midcourt players. They need some defense on the front end. They need some muscle down low because Yusuf Nurkic, excellent footwork on offense, not good at all on defense. Behind him, we're talking about Drew Eubanks, who actually lost his job to the smaller size Trendon Watford. Watford gets hurt, so Eubanks was reinserted right there. That's really all they have. And Jeremy Grant, it's almost like a waste of good defense on the low blocks because he's all they have. Everybody else is suspect defensively. So they've got a lot of work to do in the offseason. But their backcourt, all settled. Lillard and Simons, and they've got Shaedon Sharpe, could become maybe a nice sixth man. Or you have Simons come off the bench as your sixth man who plays around 30 minutes. You're all set there. Something that they should be considering here. Also, Roan, another piece of news as we're going to be shifting to baseball for a little bit. Man, McKenzie, you have him on any of your teams, dude, because at this point, looking like a 2-month absence because of a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I do. I have him, I think, in 2 leagues. I know I have him in TGFBI, the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational, and that team's already just been hit real hard with injuries. So I lost Edwin Diaz, who I had in round 2 of that league. So I did pick up David Robinson, so hoping he does indeed close. But that team has already been hit with multiple injuries, and there's no IL spots in that league. 7 reserve spots on the bench, and I already have McKenzie on there, Mitch Haniger, who's starting on the IL. I guess Alex Cobb is okay now because there were some questions. He got hit by a comebacker a few weeks ago, but I did see he threw 4 innings in a minor league contest on Monday. He said he felt good. He'll be ready for the start of the season, so there's a chance he pitches game 2, but that would be against the Yankees, so that's not ideal. McKenzie, Haniger, Matthew Boyd's and losing Diaz. So already that team's taking a hit. And, it could be 2 months for McKenzie. So I'll hold him for now. But if I start getting multiple injuries, it gets tough to hold on to a guy like that with no IL spots, as good as he is, because, minimum 2 months. He's got to get ramped up and everything. So Yeah, it's
You can't fall in a roto league, especially. You can't fall back too much. That's the problem.
no. So I mean, you can afford to have maybe 1-2 guys on the IL on your bench. You still got 5 other spots to use, but once those injuries start piling up, you have to make a tough decision at some point where it's like, well, if I hold on to this guy in 2 months, I might be near the bottom, and he might not be able to help me when I come back. So each case is an individual, because sometimes people generalize, and someone will be like, oh, he said to cut this guy. Well, maybe you have IL spots. You don't need to cut him, obviously.
Right. It's true. Everything has context with what we're talking about. A lot of different types of formats to play in fantasy baseball. We're getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with the Bettor Baseball Preview. From fantasy baseball to MLB betting, you can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com, featuring Adam Ronis, my co-host here, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrick, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers and busts, our 2023 fantasy baseball draft, and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access to the Bettor Baseball Preview at bettorsports.com. Let's make some predictions, because we make plays, we make predictions. That's what we do here on the Playbook for MLB, coming up on BSN.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Vladdy swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? Ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season. Ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at #1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, positives are the skill set, positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5%, murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. We keep talking about this too. He does not hit the ball in the air. It's remarkable, his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still #1 at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average, because he hits the ball monstrously hard. I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. It's funny his ground ball percentage is that high, because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago, and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
Today, we are going to make a time capsule.
Come on, nuke your man. Nobody. Chuck, you got anything?
Every newspaper in the country has picked us to finish last.
It's time for the Playbook crew to talk MLB futures.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains.
Fensty and Ronas back with you on Bettor Sports Network here, talking about some MLB futures because the season begins in less than 48 hours. Very excited about that. So what the Playbook crew is going to do today is give our predictions regarding the division winners and also who is going to win the World Series. So I figured that we could go division by division, talk about the teams that we think are going to win, and then we'll cap it all off with the World Series here. Maybe we'll get into some player futures at some other point over the next few days. Want to invite the boys, of course, on with us here. Tony Rivers, Anthony Rivera, and AB the Resource, Adam Bernard. Bernard, I hope we're not working you too hard, man, because we're gonna be getting some hockey bets from you later.
No, I'm good. I'm ready to rock here. I've got my predictions. There's not too much thought in these baseball predictions, as that's probably my number 3 sport. It's my bridge sport between hockey and football, but I've got some thoughts.
I would say that too. Baseball is my number 3 sport, behind basketball number 1, football number 2, baseball number 3. Ron, where does baseball rank for you? You do a lot of coverage in all 3.
Baseball 1, football 1, basketball 1.
Okay, you just ruined the game. Thank you.
I did not ruin the game. It's the truth.
You couldn't just give me like an order. What about Anthony Rivera? Let's see if he's better at this exercise. What about you, Anthony?
I got a baseball 1 and hockey just a little bit, just a tiny bit behind, just a little bit.
And then what's
thrown on me over the years? 3, I guess football. I'm not really into basketball like I used to be.
Wow. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Maybe
hey, the Knicks have ruined me for so long. Okay,
dude. You know what? You just saying that, I don't blame you. That's why we're not even going to go there right now. We could spend an entire hour and a half therapy session on that. We're not going to. Instead, we're going to go division by division, give our division winner here. I can also bring up some odds as well, as I got DraftKings Sportsbook open too. So we'll go in a little bit of different order each division. So, Rome, where do you want to start? You want to start with the AL East, the NL East?
Yeah, let's do the AL East.
Okay, AL East here. So you've got, when it comes to teams that we can probably rule out at this point, the Boston Red Sox. Can you rule out the Tampa Bay Rays? Probably.
No.
You can't rule out Tampa Bay?
Nope.
You think that they could win the division?
Yes.
Are they your prediction?
No.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What about the Baltimore Orioles, who, by the way, I placed a bet on them winning more than 77.5 games this year. What do you think about Baltimore's chances?
They have a shot. I mean, they still have some questions in the pitching staff, and Grayson Rodriguez, their top pitching prospect, they sent down to the minor leagues to start the year. I guess it helps not playing in the division as much, so I think they have a shot at that.
That's one of the biggest reasons why I bet the over on their wins, because of the changing in the schedule a little bit. What about the Yankees and the Blue Jays? The Yankees obviously have a lot of excitement, certainly around Anthony Volpe, who I feel like has been the talk of the town over the last few days here. But what are your thoughts here about the Yankees and the Jays, who finished first and second in this division last year?
Yeah, I'm picking the Blue Jays to win the division. Yankees already have some pitching injuries. Luis Severino, Rodon. The Blue Jays have a really good team. We saw it last year. I mean, they need Jose Barrios to bounce back, which is questionable. Yusei Kikuchi's had a really good spring, but he still has issued 10 walks. So they have a solid staff, top closer Romano, and their lineup is really good top to bottom. So I think they're going to win the division.
I really still think that the Yankees might have them. I think we're going to be seeing a race between these two teams at the end, but it all depends. We got to just see how some of their younger players develop throughout the year. You mentioned the pitching injuries for the Yankees. Well, you could think about, well, it's the Yankees. They could trade for any pitcher at the deadline. But at the same time, I kind of question some of the decisions made by Mr. Cashman over the last year as well. So I can't really be fully secure that they're going to make the right decision. I mean, they were trading pitching away last year, which kind of was a little bit of a head scratcher to me in that regard. So for me, I'm still sticking with the Yankees, but I think it's going to be closer. The Blue Jays finished last year 7 games behind them. I think it's going to be right up till the very end. We're going to be late in September, and we're going to be talking about a potential 1-game freaking difference between these two teams. And you mentioned Barrios, by the way, still gives me nightmares from all I dealt with that guy from last year. It can't get much worse for Jose Barrios. I'll just leave it at that. Bernard, the AL East, who's winning it?
I'm going to go with the Yankees here. I do know that they have some issues at the health department with their pitching staff, but I think the offense is still good enough to carry them until some of those shake out. For what it's worth, I do have a Yankees-Blue Jays ALCS matchup, so definitely 2 top teams there.
Yeah, also with the Blue Jays now with the adjustments of the ballpark, moving the fences in will be good. Runs will be happening there. I can imagine as we start previewing regular season baseball, we'll be talking a decent amount of props, maybe even some home run props as well for player props. That'll be interesting to see what direction we go. We've been talking so much basketball betting, baseball betting, the different directions you could go on different props. That'll be a fun night in, night out on the playbook here. Tony Rivers, what about you? Who's winning the AL East so far? You got 2 Yankees and a Blue Jay.
I'm going to even this out. I'm going with Ronis here. I think the Blue Jays are going to win the division. The thing that bothers me about the Yankees, obviously, is the rotation with the injuries, but also Clay Holmes is really not a lockdown closer, even though I drafted him with what was left of the fantasy closers. But I don't know if he's really a lockdown closer, so they're going to struggle, I think, in that department if he is not lockdown. And they didn't really improve on the offense outside of bringing back Aaron Judge, and that's what struggled against the Astros in the ALCS. So I think that's going to come back to, haunt them all season. And then you got the Rays and you got, the Blue Jays are going to play them tough. Even the Orioles are going to play them tough this year.
I'm excited to see what happens with this division, especially with them not playing each other as much. Rome, what division you want to go to next here? Dealer's choice. You're the boss.
AL Central.
AL Central going right in order here. Man, you had the Guardians who finished number 1 last year. The Guardians just losing Tristan McKenzie. Not ideal for potentially 2 months with a shoulder injury here. Then you talk about the White Sox too. And one of the things, Rome, that I've heard you say repeatedly on shows, we've been on a lot of live broadcasts. We've been on this show for a while too. One of the things, just to prove to you that I am a decent listener, is that you think that this team could be better now that they're not managed by the old man, Tony La Russa, anymore. So maybe they could get a little better direction right there. And then you've got the Royals and the Tigers who we can already count out here. So for you, Roan, where are you going with the division winner for the AL Central?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the White Sox here. I think this is kind of a wide open division. Cleveland losing McKenzie for 2 months hurts their rotation depth. This is a team that doesn't really go out and spend money. And the Twins are solid. I think they have a shot. They also have some injuries, but the White Sox underachieved last year. Really good pitching staff. And I do think that La Russa being gone just changes the outlook for this team. You had a manager falling asleep in the dugout. That can't be good. They do have to hope that some of their key guys stay healthy. Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, those guys have been banged up, but the pitching staff is pretty good. So I'm going to take the White Sox here at plus 250.
I'm going to go and stick with the Guardians here. I mean, thinking they can bridge it for the next 2 months there until McKenzie comes back.
Justin's going to just take every favorite. We could see it already.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. First of all, dude, why can't I just say a different team than you?
No, you're taking every favorite. It's clear what you're doing.
Dude, this is division number 2.
Yeah, and you've taken 2
Say that
favorites
after division number 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not 7 divisions, so that's.
I know that, but by the 7th division, you'll see a pattern if I take every favorite. Okay. Then I deserve that comment, okay? So thank you. I'm going to take – before I was so rudely interrupted, I think especially with their pitching being decent enough here, I'm still going with the Guardians. They'll be able to handle 2 months without McKenzie there. They just extended Andres Jimenez as well. I mean, this is just a team that I love Jose Ramirez. I love the offense that they're going to be putting together. And Ronis, you're still nodding your head like I'm freaking just taking favorites to take favorites.
We've done 2 division. You've taken 2 favorites. I've taken 2 non-favorites.
Okay, so what?
Okay, just keep taking the favorites. It's all good. Next.
Okay. Next. All right, Bernard. Don't take the favorite, Bernard. You might get called out for it.
So I wasn't going to take the favorite here. I agree with Ronus's assessment. A, the division's wide open. B, Tony La Russa is addition by subtraction not being there. They'll play better this year. They got a great roster makeup. Love the outfield. And I like Dylan Cease. I know a lot of people are down on him going in the drafts this year, but I think he's going to be real strong and help carry them to the division.
There we go. So another one with the White Sox right there, a non-favorite. What about you, Tony Rivers?
I'm splitting this up again. I'm going with the Guardians here. I think that
you're not allowed. You can't go with the favorite.
No, he's allowed. He took
can't go with the favorite.
He took the Blue Jays in the first one, so he's not taking every favorite.
My goodness, you're a terrible person.
Yeah, I don't think the losing Tristan McKenzie for just what is it? He's going to be shut down for 2 weeks, so he'll probably be back in a month and a half or something if everything goes well. They still got Shane Bieber, and they probably have the best closer outside of Edwin Diaz in the Manuel Clase. So I think that's going to help them out. The White Sox are going to be without Liam Hendricks, so I don't know how they closing games out.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know. I mean, it's not been
Reynaldo Lopez. They'll be fine.
So it's not, but it hasn't been confirmed that Hendricks is going to miss the whole season. We're just assuming that's the case. All right, let's move on then, Rowan. What division do you want to talk about next?
AL West.
Okay, I noticed that you're going in just a normal order right here, so that's good. I see the pattern. See, you know who I think's going to win the AL?
Yeah, I know. Go ahead, pick them.
Who do you think I'm going to take?
The Astros.
No, I'm not taking the Astros.
No, he only switched this up because of my comment. There's
absolutely
no way,
his show notes have Astros. Have to have them on it.
Right. So I know it. He's just doing it.
Here are my show notes. Do you see?
I see a big X over the Astros. Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna make my pick first. Then I'm going with the Seattle Mariners.
That's my pick. You stole my thunder. No, that was my pick.
Did you see the Bettor Sports Network baseball?
No, I did not.
Yeah, you did. I know you did.
I did not because I'm doing a lot of work.
Well, I am taking the Mariners at plus 320. The Astros are still talented, but they do have some issues already. Brantley, Altuve, again, they're really good. So I can't dispute if anyone wants to take them. Like if you're going to take a favorite, that's the one to take.
I wasn't taking them. I was taking the Mariners.
You were not. But anyway, so the Mariners are my pick, plus 320. They were really good last year. Now they get a full season, second full season of Julio Rodriguez. They acquired Luis Castillo last year during the season. They get him for a full year. Logan Gilbert working on a new slider. As much as I don't love Robbie Ray for fantasy because he's so erratic, he's had a great spring. His velocity's up. George Kirby, Ty France is underrated. They added Teoscar Hernandez. Cal Riley has power. We'll see if Jared Kelnick can continue his hot spring. Love the bullpen. Paul Sewald, Andres Munoz, Diego Castillo, Matt Brash. This is a good team, man. So I'm going to take them to win the AL West.
All right, now I got to defend myself here.
I know. I'm
going to defend myself. I'm going to defend myself because hopefully everybody here, you want to get under my skin, especially after a 3-assignment day. Then you know.
Oh no, 3 assignments.
No, I'm saying I'm ready. I'm vulnerable, so I'm going to get mad now and just say this. I have been talking about over the last few days how much I wanted Mariners pitching on my team. How much I love the Mariners. How much I love Julio Rodriguez. You really so surprised that I took the Mariners here? I'm shocked. Then you don't listen to the show.
I don't.
Because I've talked about the Mariners nonstop.
We're talking about them for fantasy does not mean that they can be great in reality.
You're right. You're right. But I still like this team. It's not like I'm just picking them out of a hat or anything like that. I mean, if I like the pitching as much as I do, if I love their bats as much as I do, I'm thinking that that's going to generate success. There you go. See, nothing to say there. You know I've been on the Mariners.
You were taking the Astros. You're like, dude, if I take a third straight favorite, he's gonna.
I wish there was a way I could prove to you.
You can't.
My thoughts. You might not want to.
You can't prove it. Adam agrees with me too.
You know what? So what? You know what? Adam's always going to agree with you. Adams agree with each other. Okay?
I don't always agree with Ronas, just like 80% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. 80. I think that's a little generous right there. I want to say maybe 90 to 93% of the time.
No, we just disagreed on division winners. So.
Okay, great.
He has the Yankees because he's a hometown fan.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Bernard here next. Bernard, who do you think is winning the AL West?
I'm going chalk here. I got to go the Astros. I know they've got some issues, but I mean, they won the division by 16 games last year. Are they really, 16, 8 games worse, and are the Mariners 8 games better? Maybe the Mariners are 8 games better, but I don't think the Astros are 8 games worse. So I still got to go with the Astros to take the West here.
2 for the Mariners, 1 for the Astros. Tony Rivers, where are you going?
The Mariners are getting close, but it's not going to be this year. It's going to be the Astros again winning the division. Maybe next year, I think the Mariners might be ready to take that throne, but this Astros team has just steamrolled for over a couple of years since 2017. 5 division titles, 4 pennants. I mean, there's no other team. That's probably the biggest given, I think, is them winning the division.
Wow, outright there. Mariners, you said they were close, though. Is it as much of a given as you think? You think that they're right there? We'll have to see. So the Mariners for 2 of us, the Astros for the other 2. All right, Ronus, what division do you want to go to next here?
NL East.
Okay, the NL East. So I'm going to go first here, Rome. And you might be surprised with who I picked to win this division. It's the Atlanta Braves. They're better than the Mets. They're going to be better than the Mets again. I love the Mets, but I love the Braves a lot better. They stay healthier. I don't even think it's going to be within 3 to 5 games if this team can stay fully healthy, which I think they can. And when it comes to the Braves, from everything from their pitching, I know that they're dealing with some health issues when it comes to their bullpen. I know it doesn't matter to me. They are loaded with depth. They're loaded with young talent. And how they came back to win the division last year, I think is just the beginning. I'm thinking they're taking it. And I thought for a little bit that the Mets were favored until maybe a few weeks ago. I can be wrong about that, but checking it again, I see that the Braves are the favorite now. But I feel like maybe 3 weeks, a month ago, the Mets were favored. So that's what I'm going to say about the Braves. Rowan, I have a feeling you're going with the Braves as well.
Yeah, I've been talking about that for a while. I think the Braves are still better than the Mets. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the Mets win this division, but I don't think the Mets did enough offensively. They have the same team offensively from last year that did not come through in the clutch. I mean, adding Verlander and Senga is great. They lost Diaz, which, you can overcome a bullpen guy. And the Mets are going to be aggressive and make trades. But this Braves team was one of the best teams in the second half 2 years ago and won the World Series. They were one of the best teams in the second half last year. Okay, they didn't win. We know how it's a crapshoot in the postseason. But Ronald Acuna coming back, now a full season removed from the torn ACL where he didn't have power last year. Matt Olson now has a full season under his belt in Atlanta, and he's had a ridiculous spring. Austin Riley, a rising star. Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies for a full year. Adding Sean Murphy to that lineup, ridiculous. Eddie Rosario has looked better in the spring. His vision is better. Max Fried, Jared Schuster, Charlie Morton, Spencer Strider. They have arms in the minors. I know Raisel Iglesias is injured to begin the year, but this team is really good, man. So I'm gonna take them to win the division.
It's and the payroll that they have all these guys under is ridiculously low. Braves management deserves a medal for how they've been able to broker this with these contracts. What about you, Bernard? Where are you going for the NL East?
Make it 3 for the Braves. As much as I would love to pick the Mets, as I sat here and watched you guys just deal with the Mets just losing the NL East last year every day in September, and I felt for you guys. I want them to win the division this year, but I think Atlanta's just too good, too much of a hill to overcome.
That was so sad, Rome. That was so sad every single day, and then we had to come back on this show and essentially report about it as the Braves inching closer and closer. And then that final weekend, and then the freaking playoffs. When you come on, I'll never forget. You're like, we got San Diego, and that's who you didn't want. And then, boom, handled the Mets in the playoffs just like that. Tony Rivers was suffering along with us here. Who do you think's going to win the NL East, Anthony?
I'm going to go outright and say this. The Braves are not going to have an epic comeback because they're absolutely going to win the division outright. I mean, that team, I had the first pick in one of my drafts, and I have 4 Braves: Acuna, I got Albies, Olsen, Austin Riley. I mean, they are an awesome team. And the Mets, they didn't do anything offensively. And there's too many what ifs. When you have too many what ifs, that becomes an issue. You got Quintana out of the rotation. Can Starling Marte stay healthy for an entire season? Because he's kind of the glue to the offense. Can, Brandon Nimmo stay healthy for an entire season? And then, you're dealing with just too many problems. They don't have a right-handed DH. It's just too much. Edwin Diaz is out. So they might even fall behind the Phillies at some point. So they could become the 3rd team. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to win the division.
Do the Mets get back money because of Edwin Diaz's injury?
They
do.
They do.
Okay.
They don't pay for any of that.
What's that?
They get his entire salary back for the year.
All right.
But it does count against their tax still.
But Cohen sent like a nutritionist, a trainer to his house to help him come back.
I mean, come on. He tore his freaking knee up. He's not.
He says he wants to be back this year.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't seen anybody from a torn ACL. I haven't seen anybody come back from that injury. Patellar tendon. My bad. I haven't seen anybody come back from a crazy knee injury like that and actually perform well, except for maybe Adrian Peterson. Remember that?
Different sport.
I understand that, but still, it's you think Edwin Diaz makes it back?
There's a chance if they get far. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect it, but there's a chance.
People do heal quickly. I mean, there are some athletes that do. We're seeing it with LeBron James in basketball right now. So people do heal quickly. So I guess you can't put it past them. But I thought he tore his knee up there, and that right there was going to cost him at least, I guess, 6 months. Let's say at least 6 months. Maybe he's back the final few weeks. We'll have to see. Then you have an interesting decision, Rome, because let's say now at this point the Mets are fighting for a playoff spot because we know they're not winning the division. They're fighting for a playoff spot, and let's say either Robertson or they trade for an arm who's been lights out like Edwin Diaz was in the bullpen. Let me ask you this: do you go with the guys that got you there, who had been shut down in this scenario, had been shut down at this point for the opposition, or do you go back to the best closer in baseball cold when you're fighting for a playoff spot?
If he's back and throwing well, you go to Diaz, but that's a long ways away.
I know. I always wonder how that works, though. I mean, again, you go with the guys that got you there, or you bring back Edwin Diaz, although he hadn't pitched at that point for months and months. So it's a tough decision that hopefully Mets management at this point, well, maybe they will have to make it. Let's move. I mean, Rome, we got 2 divisions left to choose from. Which one do you want to go to?
Oh, the NL Central.
All right, the NL Central here. This one was a tough one for me. This one was a very tough one.
I don't think it is.
You think the Cardinals are just going to steamroll it?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Milwaukee, man, but because of their pitching, but they just don't seem like they want to win with some of the moves they made. It's just, trading Hader last year. They didn't want to pay him. I mean, look, the pitching's good. Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, that's really good. Devin Williams, a good closer. But I think there's some questions on the offensive side. So, yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are really loaded. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only minus 125. I thought it would be higher here. I guess their pitching is not dominant because Adam Wainwright, Jack Flaherty, there's question marks.
Yeah. He's got to stay healthy.
Yeah. So I like Jordan Montgomery. I think Matt's gonna have a good season. So I guess that's the question. They don't have that stud ace pitcher like the Brewers have. A good bullpen with Helsley and Gallegos. Wainwright obviously starting the season on the IL, but the line this could be one of the best lineups in the NL top to bottom. I mean, they have a lot of talent here in this lineup. So especially if Jordan Walker pans out. So I'm still taking them though. I think they're better than the Brewers right now.
Milwaukee adding Jesse Winker do anything for you?
I mean, it's decent. I mean, he's got to stay healthy. He's moving to a better park, but I just think it's their lineup's top heavy. I think after like 5-6, there's question marks here. So I just don't like what the Brewers have done. I just think it doesn't feel like they don't want to pay Burns. I mean, insulting him. It just feels like they don't really care about winning right now.
Yeah, it's very strange too, because I always thought that their fan base was actually pretty good and pretty into it. So some of these teams that won't spend, it's just an anomaly to me.
I guess the Cubs could surprise. I mean, Tyon, I like. Wesneski has had a really good spring. Stroman is solid. So maybe, I mean, they made some moves, but probably not as good as the Cardinals. So I think it's the Cardinals.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see with the Cardinals there. I've wanted to give it to the Brewers again. I like their pitching, but I mean, their lineup does have a few questions to it. How will Christian Yelich perform as well? Something that I'm thinking about too. You know what? I've been thinking about it. I'm still going to give the edge to Milwaukee. Think they perform a little bit better. Think they added a little bit with their lineup. I mean, the pitching, kind of like with the Cardinals too, but the pitching has to stay healthy for Milwaukee. You talked about the strength of the bullpen. I think that'll help them there. So I'm going to actually take the Brewers here. So far we're splitting. Let's see if maybe we do get a third team involved. Bernard, where are you going for the NL Central?
I'm with Ronis here. I'm going Cardinals. I think this is their division to lose, and that it's what they do. They just play well all year, and I don't see them losing this division. I don't think Milwaukee's good enough to pass them. I think they're right there, but I still think St. Louis is the top dog.
2 for the Cardinals. Tony Rivers, where do you stand?
Let's make it 3 for the Cardinals.
All right, 3-1 Cardinals and 1 vote for the Milwaukee Brewers, but a little bit of consideration when thinking about it for the Chicago Cubs. All right, Roan, 1 division left. Where are we going?
I don't know. I'll let you pick it.
Okay, man, this is a tough call. I'm going to go with the NL West, though, if that's okay with you guys here. So the NL West, the big question is the Los Angeles Dodgers, Roan, because I have a feeling that you might not be all in based on conversations that we've recently had about this team. Losing Trey Turner, we got to see the effects of that. Makes me question things, too. Kind of makes me want to go with the San Diego Padres for this division, especially after what we saw late in the year and in the postseason as well. Also, locking down Machado, I think, is huge for them. So with me asking this, Roan, I mean, I'm taking the Padres here. Is that where you're going? Or are you going LA or maybe even another team?
Yeah, I'm taking the Padres. I think the Dodgers just lost a little bit too much. I think they'll still be good, but that Padres, when they get Tatis Jr. back, I mean, that is just lethal with what the lineup that they have. And we know the top 3 pitchers, we saw how dominant they could be in the postseason last year with Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove. Nick Martinez had a good spring. Waka's that solid veteran. Not great, but, as your 5th starter, although for now it looks like Seth Lugo might start. I don't know how he's going to perform as a starter. And they got a good bullpen, too. So I'm going to take the Padres.
And Lugo wanted to start, right?
Yeah.
That was his thing. He wanted to be a starter. What about you, Bernard? Where are you going for the NL West?
Got to go Padres. They're a behemoth, and like Ronis said, the Dodgers lost too much, and the Padres, once Tatis comes back, they're going to be a machine.
Tony Rivers, we got 3 for the Padres. Where are you going?
We'll make it 4 for the Padres. Their team is just too loaded.
The Padres there, 4-0 from the Playbook picks. So we'll put that in the time capsule. We'll revisit it once the season is over and see how we did, how much we got right. Tuesdays are Tour Junkies Golf Days on Bettor Sports Network. Join David Barnett and Pat Perry for entertaining and informative golf talk, including interviews with PGA Tour and Live Golf players and caddies. Have more fun with golf and win daily fantasy sports and betting with Tour Junkies tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on bettorsports.com and on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch at Bettor Network. Let's talk a little NBA futures now. Let's visit the end of season awards after we didn't see the Embiid-Jokic matchup. We did, but how has that impacted the odds? Find out as the Playbook continues on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA. Before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2, 3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
The Kia NBA Most Valuable Player goes to
Sexton. Blocked by Embiid! 7 blocks tonight!
Jokic, a little verticality on defense there. Down the middle to Joker, put it up and in! Thompson gets it off in time. No, and there's Giannis. He's on the push. And he throws it down. You saw it, Coach.
It's time for Fensty and Ronis to take a look at the NBA futures market and give you their picks for MVP, Rookie of the Year, and more from the hardwood.
Let's go over some odds here. The end of season awards for the NBA. We check in on those every couple of weeks here. Losing some season, though, as we have less than 2 weeks to go before the NBA play-in tournament is set to begin. But tonight, beginning at 7:30 Eastern time, it's the NBA on Bettorcast. Watch the Miami Heat at the Toronto Raptors and compete in our live Q&A contest on the Bettor Sports Network app. Watch, play, and win prizes by answering predictive questions about the games while having fun chatting with our community in real time. Join us for Bettorcast on the Bettor Sports Network app. Tonight, starting at 7:30 Eastern, you can win a $100 gift card to the BettorSports.com collectible shop to purchase authentic hand-signed items from your favorite athletes. Tour Junkies will air on BettorSports.com. And look at this, Ron. We're looking back on DraftKings Sportsbook. For the NBA MVP, sitting at plus 105 is Nikola Jokic. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid now plus 115. These odds have been a freaking seesaw the last few weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Embiid didn't play last night, and Jokic had a big game. Had a same game parlay in that one. It was only plus 180, but it cashed. So thanks to Jokic for getting me the 20 points I needed, because I think that was the last leg of the parlay. Yeah, it was. So I needed him to get 20. And he had 6 at the half. I was like, really? Come on, man. Wake up. So he got there. But, yeah, that's probably why we saw the shift. And we'll see. You know, Embiid could miss a few more games. So I think that would definitely influence things.
I mean, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I mean, has the MVP really been this close, this late in the season? We're going game by game at this point. Now, just because the odds say this does not mean that's how the voters will go. But you got to think that these voters are going to do everything they can to find reasons not to vote Nikola Jokic an MVP for a third straight season. And I think that's something that's unfortunately that's going to work against Jokic when all is said and done, because it's pretty much a dead heat right now.
Yeah, I don't remember it being this close in a while. Jokic, number 1 seed in the West. Philly is not the 1 seed. So, yeah, I mean, we still got 2 weeks left. If you got Jokic at that plus 250 a few days ago, you're probably feeling pretty good right now.
You are, and you're hoping that Embiid sits out. Jokic isn't sitting out down the stretch.
That's possible. I could see it just because they're going to lock up the 1 seed. He usually doesn't sit. He's missed a couple games this year, but they're 3.5 ahead of Memphis, so there's a chance that they lock this up. So I think there's a chance he sits.
Yeah, they need Memphis to cool off a little bit. 6 straight, 9-1 in their last 10. They're hanging in there. I got to give them some credit, man. Even going through the Ja Morant situation, Memphis, they were able to handle it and overcome it. And now Ja Morant, apparently, when it comes to his health and everything like that, we don't know whether it's a rest game or that he's actually got an injured thigh. That's something that we're looking at right now. But Sacramento sits at that 3 seed. That's probably where they're going to end up too. So Memphis doing a good job staving off Sacramento. So it's going to be close between Jokic and Embiid. If you were putting your vote out there right now, because I'll tell you for me what it is. I'm very impressed with Joel Embiid with what he's done this year. Guy's averaging 33 a game, and he's making an impact. He's not Danny Granger where he's just going to score you a bunch of points and really not make an on-court impact. He is an impact maker. But I think Nikola Jokic with what he's done, and I'm also convinced that he has less talent around him, and also I'm convinced that he does a little bit more than Joel Embiid. If I'm voting between these two right now, I'm still giving it to Jokic. It's very close, but you got to take a stand at some point. For me, it's Nikola Jokic. Has nothing to do with last night. I've been on that Jokic train. I think he's carried this team. They're number 1 in the West. They've remained number 1 in the West. He brings up the ball. He generates offense all on his own. I think he's excellent. Maybe he's not the best defensive center out there, but I still think that he's good, he's great, and he's deserving of that 3rd straight MVP. Where are you voting?
Yeah, I'm going Jokic. Embiid's had a great year. You can't just look at scoring because Jokic just doesn't take as many shots as Embiid does. He takes 5 less shots from the field because Jokic is only averaging 24.9. He's almost averaging a triple-double. He's had 9.9 assists. There's a chance he finishes the year averaging a triple-double, shooting 63.4% from the field. So he's very unselfish, gets his teammates involved, great court vision, and then the number 1 seed in the West. So it's not to diminish anything that Embiid has done. And the games played are kind of close, 67 for Jokic, 61 for Embiid. So Embiid hasn't missed as many games as recent years, but, his team is still 3rd in the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to go with Jokic to win it.
Yeah, it's awesome that it's this close, but I can't deny Nikola Jokic. And I think just being like, well, he's won it the last 2 years, that's not a good enough reason not to vote this guy. His team's in first place in the Western Conference. They've been in first place all year. What else do you want from this guy? He's playing with in my opinion, not 100% Jamal Murray still. He's been banged up throughout the year. I'm convinced that he's playing at 75, 80%. I'm not a doctor, but from what I've seen with him on the court, him getting banged up along the way, Michael Porter sits there waiting to be fed at the arc. That's all the guy does now because that's what he can do in order to preserve his own body. Aaron Gordon, Roan, and I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here very quickly. Aaron Gordon has had a very, very nice year. You were on him early when you were saying, well, he's not the same Aaron Gordon. He's actually providing game-impacting numbers, not just putting up some stats and creating off-balance plays. So you were on him early. He's had a hell of a year, kind of like Kyle Anderson has had a hell of a year too. Both have been solid for fantasy and for reality purposes.
Yeah, they've needed Gordon to perform with Murray and Porter missing time. So, when they're all healthy, he's not going to put up big-time fantasy numbers. But, Yeah, he's been a key piece for them this year in their success, being number one in the West.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And that's more than the game impact that he was providing throughout his entire career. He's definitely upped his game, Aaron Gordon, this year. Rookie of the year, I think, is undisputed at this point. I think Paolo Banchero went out to a huge lead. We talked about the rookie wall that he hit back in, I believe it was February or right before the All-Star break. As soon as we came out of the All-Star break, things to solve on their own. He's minus 6,000 to win it. I guess we could talk about some of the other rookies very quickly. Jalen Williams has been nice, but I don't think he's done what Banchero has done. And unfortunately for Jalen Williams, when SGA is in there, we've seen that production get capped.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good, though. It's unfortunate year for him is that, Banchero has been so good, and we expected it going into the year. So, yeah, there's not much shock there.
You know what the problem is with a lot of these rookies this year? And I don't think Jalen Williams, Walker Kessler, or Banchero face it, but you look at the next highest odds for Rookie of the Year. Benedict Mathurin, he's playing with a similar player. Buddy Hield does what he does. They're virtually the same player, except Mathurin will drive a little bit more. Keegan Murray, very similar to Harrison Barnes in the way they play. They're splitting shots and time with the ball. Jaden Ivey, as much as I really like the fit, they have other guards there that they were rotating in and out. And I'm not so sure we can really see him hit his full potential if Cade Cunningham is still going to be on the ball for a good amount of the game. We talk about another guy like Jalen Duren from the Pistons, who, he was dealing with Isaiah Stewart, but Stewart gets shifted down to power forward. So you're thinking it's this guy's job. Plus Stewart was a little bit banged up throughout the year. They trade for James Wiseman. Mark Williams, another example. Mark Williams was what I thought was a perfect marriage going to Charlotte. The problem is they spent half the year starting Mason Plumlee. So when it comes to Mason Plumlee, he's in there half the year playing majority of minutes. Mark Williams is splitting with Nick Richards for the backup role, and Richards was beating him out for a decent portion of the year. A lot of these high-end rookies, man, they are unfortunate. It's actually unfortunate the landing spots they landed in. Shaedon Sharpe. Hard to get usage when you're on the same team as a Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. I just feel like a lot of these rookies are not able to play to their potential because of what I just outlined.
Yeah, Banchero went into the best spot. Starting, he was going to get featured. These other guys really didn't have that opportunity. It took Kessler a while to get in the starting lineup. And Keegan Murray has to compete with several other guys that are primary options on his team. So, and Jaden Ivey did start, but it was on a bad team, and we knew that shooting could be an issue for him.
Well, at first, when Cunningham was in, they wanted to start Killian Hayes with him. And I didn't understand why. You drafted this guy's a top 5 pick. Let them gel together. Don't bring Ivy in off the bench. Don't James Harden him just because, like when Harden was on the Thunder. But let this guy start. Let him run the offense a little bit. That's what I just didn't understand with that. The only other player that was a little bit disappointing, and he got off to a very slow start, and we didn't really see what he can do until really the last couple of months. He didn't have options in front of him. I thought Jabari Smith was going to be better than he was. I really did. I thought that, okay, no more Christian Wood. This guy could become the new Christian Wood, and they didn't rely on him enough. Part of the reason is because they rely heavily on their backcourt on offense, and Alperen Şengün can also stretch the floor. So I feel like they didn't really utilize Smith much on offense. He was hanging there at the arc as a bailout option. Then they've let him create a little bit, and we're just starting to see how good this guy can be. I'm wondering if next year Jabari Smith is going to be involved in the NBA's most improved player conversation. That's something that comes to mind. You watch Smith play at all? I mean, do you watch the Rockets much? I know there's not much to watch of them, but have you seen them at all this year?
Yeah, but not lately. There's no reason to watch them anymore.
Right. I still try to watch these guys anyway, man, even the bottom feeders. I still try to stomach through those Detroit games just to see if I could pick up anything regarding players. And that's why I went on an epic rant on another show that Jabari Smith needs to play in the post. He needs to be on the wing. He has a good fall-away jumper, and he doesn't use it. Kevon Looney would kill for a post move like that. Half these centers don't have these moves, but I'm telling you, you're probably scratching your head, even if you're a Rockets fan, and you're wondering why, Fensty, why? When you need post moves, it's because you got to watch the Rockets, and you'll see them from time to time, but they don't feature him enough because they're being stupid about it, and they got to feature him more in the post, not have him sitting there at the arc. But I digress. Let's move on to most improved player. I think that's pretty much locked up, unfortunately, because that one was looking like it was going to be a good race. But then, unfortunately, you're now seeing SGA sit a little bit, but also Jalen Brunson's been hurt. So it's kind of taken him out of the race a little bit. It's looking like it's going to be Lowry Markkanen, who, by the way, absolutely deserves the award.
Yeah, I mean, he's been phenomenal. Getting the opportunity to be featured in this offense, and man, he's just had some big games. I mean, SGA has been great too. So, but yeah, him sitting out occasionally really doesn't help. But certainly, because this race was tight at one point, SGA was the favorite, but it's shifted recently in favor of Markkanen.
So let me ask you this: do you think that because you and I were talking about the possibility of Utah flipping him at some point in the season, it ended up not happening? Do you think that Utah tries to build around him now after we saw the success that he had? Because this is interesting. I have him in the Cam Dynasty League, the Rick Kamla Dynasty League, and I thought about offering him, since Mr. Kamla loves offering me trades and he loves trading for picks like the Thunder and the Knicks. I thought about potentially offering Markkanen for a good King's ransom of picks, but I'm still debating whether or not Utah can build around him, because if Utah builds around him, he's your number one option, and I don't want to deal him just yet. It's not like he's an aging veteran.
I'm not sure what they're thinking at this point. I'm pretty sure they didn't expect them to come in and average over 25 points a game.
Right. But if you went on fantasyalarm.com, checked out that sleepers list, top of the list, Lowry Markkanen was there. I thought there was a chance you get him away from other shooters, you have him isolated, then we can see more of what we saw his first couple of years in the league. And going to Utah, where it was pretty much at that point no man's land, I thought that the world was going to be his oyster. And then if he was traded to a contender, yeah, that production would have been maybe died out a bit, but he still would have been utilized even if traded to a contender. Playing time might have dropped a bit in that regard. Coach of the year, any dispute? Mike Brown, absolutely deserving. I mean, can you put Budenholzer in there, or can you put Mazzulla in there? I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if you've read this at all. I don't know if the players, the Celtics, really love Mazzulla or all in. I thought they were at the start, but I've listened to other media, and this is what happens when you start reading reports and listening. I'm not sure that they're all in on him. I think he's done a fantastic job, all things considered, but I guess you really can't deny Mike Brown at this point.
No, it's got to be him. I mean, this is a Kings team that has been the picture of futility, never getting in the playoffs, and here they are, 15 games above 500, the third seed in the Western Conference. I mean, no one thought that before the year. So, yeah, it's got to be him.
Yeah, the Kings, it's going to be exciting, man. We haven't seen them in the playoffs since, I believe, 2007 at this point, since those old Kings teams. Did you like those old Kings teams? Did you believe in them back then? The Weber, Peja, Stojakovic.
Yeah, I like those teams.
Did you think that team, did you ever see that team winning a championship? Because
no,
I never did either. Fun team. Awesome as hell. Really showed us and ushered in, because Dirk Nowitzki took a few years to develop. We didn't really know what we had in him for the first few years, and neither did the Mavs. Then all of a sudden he started developing. But then a couple of years after that, seeing guys like Stojakovic and Vlade and even Turkoglu on that team, it really showed just how powerful those European shooters could be, especially with their sidesteps and great footwork. Great footwork, something that's very underrated for a shooter as a basketball player. And those teams, as fun as they were, I never saw them winning a championship. People could say they got screwed because of refs on the take. I just didn't see them winning the championship. I never did. This Sacramento Kings team, I still don't see winning a championship. And I know everybody wants to like them, but here's the deal. I've watched a lot of basketball over the years, and here's one thing I know. A team that is all offense performs differently in a series when their opposition is looking at everything they've got with a microscope and they don't have many points of differential on that team. And they're not going to be able to stop the bleeding, meaning if their shooting is less than stellar one game, they're going to have no chance. So we're going to have to see how that works for them. Can they win a round? I think so. I mean, unfortunately for them, the Western Conference is so cluttered right now between seeds 5 and 11. We have no idea who they're playing. They can end up as the 3 round. They can end up playing the Warriors in the first round, a team that they don't want to face. However, Draymond Green, he wants to face them for convenience reasons, so they don't have to travel too much.
Yeah, no, that's not the matchup you want to get in the first round. An experienced team, veterans that have won a championship, it would not be ideal for them.
No, it wouldn't. And do you think that Golden State would be favored in that series?
Yes.
Man, if that ends up happening and they're not favored and we get good odds on them, I'm betting them to win that series. I'm not going to say they're going to sweep them or anything like that. That's a 6-game series with Golden State moving on. You don't want Golden State if you're Sacramento. And to all the new Kings fans out there that are all light the beam that didn't even know Sacramento had a basketball team before this season, you're in for a rude awakening. I'm telling you, you're in for a rude awakening once they reach a team, even like the Warriors, but then reaching Denver, probably Phoenix later on, they're not getting past those 2 teams. They're not. 6th man of the year, Emmanuel Quickley, who's gotten some extra run lately because of Jalen Brunson's injury. He's at minus 210 right there. And it just sucks, man, because Malcolm Brogdon, to me, still deserves it. I wish that I had more confidence and a bigger sack to bet Bobby Portis at plus 4,000, because you can't deny what Bobby Portis has done either. He's not going to win this. It's going to be between these 2. But I think Bobby Portis has had a very nice year. And for a guy who sniffs fewer than 25 minutes per game for the most part, the boards, the points, he's been an excellent fill-in option whenever either Giannis or Brook Lopez have needed off. He's even come through. You wonder why Milwaukee was able to maintain so much, especially when they had Chris Middleton out, a few other of their depth that was hurt throughout the year. Bobby Portis is a key cog in this engine for Milwaukee, but he's not going to win it. But plus 4,000 is very appetizing. And I don't think, Ron, that you could say that he's not deserving of this award.
It's not that. You got to pick who you think the voters are going to vote for it. And I don't think they're voting for him. I think it's pretty clear
they're not going
based on this odds.
You think that they're going to just vote for Quickly because of recency?
I think it should be Brogdon, but.
Me too. I think it should be also. And by the way, these are just odds. Again, I don't think there's a way to really determine how these are picked. These are all voted awards. So just because the odds are there does not mean, a straw poll would almost give us better indication at this point. But Malcolm Brogdon deserves it. He's what the Celtics are missing. We can't deny that the Celtics, they're having a very good season. They're having considering all that they went through, considering health issues that they face. That's what happens when you invest in Robert Williams. He's just not built for an entire marathon season. He's just not. But Malcolm Brogdon has done what was asked of him. And he didn't start. Like Manuel Quickley has been drawing starts. Brogdon continues to come off the bench. That's the difference. They actively go with other guards because he's so valuable leading the scoring with that second unit. You got to give him props for that. He's had a very nice year. He's shooting incredibly from downtown as much. And I'm a Knicks fan in saying this. I think Malcolm Brogdon deserves this. Ronis agrees that Malcolm Brogdon deserves this as well. Plus 150 at this point. Wouldn't mind putting a little dough on that award there. Plus 150, it's not ridiculous. He deserves the award. But this recency that we're seeing with Brunson missing time, and yes, Emmanuel Quickley has had some big games. But when I'm thinking championship, when I'm thinking more impact for the entire season, and you're asking me like I'm playing one of those EA sports games, like an NBA 2K, where I'm putting the team together, and you're like, hey, who do you want as your 6th man? I'm taking Malcolm Brogdon 10 times out of 10. He deserves the award. And as much as I like Emmanuel Quickley, he doesn't provide the same impact Brogdon does. Brogdon plus 150, I like that. And I got to give a salute to Bobby Portis at plus 4,000. But they're not going to vote him because a lot of these voters, they don't even watch basketball. They're lucky to have a vote. Yeah, I said it. Defensive Player of the Year. You got Brook Lopez at minus 185, Jaren Jackson Jr. at plus 140. And then you got Giannis at plus 3,500. The transformation of Brook Lopez has been one of minor changes, and that's it. The guy's just playing better defense. I don't know if one of the coaches worked with him on footwork, worked with him on how to not be soft, but yet not draw fouls every single time or not commit fouls every single time. But with what Brook Lopez has done, the blocks have always been there, man. The boards, they're there this year. I think in general, he's just been playing more in the post, and he's been able to learn how to share the paint with Giannis and not get in his way on either side of the ball. And Brook Lopez has had a hell of a year.
Yeah, I think that Jaren Jackson can still possibly get it, but I guess it depends. See, I see different defensive rating numbers. I see Milwaukee number 1 in a so I see them 2. Cleveland's 1, Milwaukee's 2, Grizzlies 3. So it's close with that. And they like to give it usually to a player on one of the top teams. They're both there. They're both going to finish top 3. So, yeah, Lopez has kind of come from behind here because Jaren Jackson was the favorite for a while. But the Grizzlies have still played well. But Milwaukee
I'm going to put this argument out there for Jackson then. So would you say that Milwaukee as a whole has better defenders than Memphis? I would say so.
Yeah, but so you're penalizing Lopez for playing with better defenders?
But like you just brought up the defensive ratings. So that includes the entire team.
I think the argument was Memphis without Jackson has been pretty bad. I don't remember how many games of a sample it is because Jackson missed the beginning of the year. And, it still is a small sample, but they were middle of the pack without Jackson.
Right. So I'm thinking Jackson deserves it as well. So that's the thing. I mean, if I'm putting my vote right now, if I'm putting my vote down right now, again, because when we're looking at defensive ratings, you've got to take the team as a whole. Memphis doesn't have, especially with Steven Adams, who's been out for, if I had to guess, at least 5-6 weeks at this point. They don't have anybody else who's been defending the post. They've had Ja Morant dealing with his drama. They've had Dylan Brooks, who's become the new heel bad boy of the NBA, except he's fake. He's a fake tough guy, and that's it. He'll always just start jawing at people when their heads are turned. That's how you know when you're watching this guy. Fake tough guy, running down the court, make a little comment. Fake tough guy. Let's see him get in someone's face and actually start putting his arms up there. But he's not going to do that. And if he were to do that, the NBA will be quick to suspend him. He's a marked man. But the point is, Jaren Jackson Jr., as you've mentioned, as you pointed out in the beginning of the year, where all of a sudden because you know the sport, that he wasn't fouling as obsessively as we've seen him foul. He's improved on that. He's matured on that. He's been able to stay on the court. I'm thinking he's very deserving. And just like Brook Lopez, he blocks a hell of a lot of shots too.
Yeah, no, he's been really good this year, man. I've always liked him. He's taken his game to another level this year.
It's been a lot of health issues. That's been the deal with him. But now you keep him healthy. And by the way, this is kind of what I thought Jonathan Isaac would turn into, but he can't stay on the floor. His body's just not built at this time. But Jaren Jackson has been excellent. His dad was in the league. He's got pedigree. He knows a lot. You could tell instantly with how he was stretching the floor that his father was in the league. There are just some players, when especially you watch a lot of basketball, you could just tell who has that basketball IQ and who doesn't, and who's just waiting for something to happen at another part of the court so they can move to keep the play alive. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a creator, and I think he definitely deserves it. That's the closest race to me as well. I mean, MVP is close, but defensive player also very close between Brook Lopez and Jaren Jackson Jr. We are going to get to talking about tonight's NBA action for all of you, give you some plays, some props here, DFS action. Ronus with the video is Value Video on fantasyalarm.com. I got your showdown playbook for those that want to get saucy in the 10 p.m. Eastern hour tonight when the Pelicans take on the Warriors. But want to remind everybody once again that we're getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with the Bettor Baseball Preview. From fantasy baseball to MLB betting, you can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com. Featuring Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle L. Frink, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers, and busts. Our 2023 fantasy baseball draft and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access to the Better Baseball preview at bettorsports.com. He's Ronis. I'm Fancy. The playbook rolls on. Let's give more plays in the NBA before we hang with AB, the resource to talk hockey. It's the playbook on BSN.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network. Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
We're talking catchers. And Ray, as we jump into this position, traditionally, this has been a position that you kind of say, well, there's like 2-3 guys and the rest is just junk. And gosh, I'm in a 2-catcher league. How in the hell am I going to fill 2 spots, in this 12-man league? And oh, it's such a struggle after the 8th catcher. Like, fair to say it's different now? I mean, I know it's not great, but it feels like the best catcher pool I've seen in a while, like at least a half decade in terms of, wow, we've got some hitters, we've got guys, and I know they're not exclusively catchers, and the DH is helping, certainly, but it looks like we're going, 10, 12 deep at least of feeling good about catchers, I think.
I tier the players at positions because I think that's a really good way to look at them. And when you tier players, you're basically putting guys that are likely to produce similar levels of production in the same tier. One guy might be batting average, one guy might be home runs, that kind of a thing, but basically the same end result value-wise. I have 2 guys on the elite tier. I then have 9 guys or 8 guys on the next tier. And then I go all the way to 22 on the 3rd tier, which basically almost gets us to that, 2 catchers in the 24, 12-team league kind of thing. So I agree with you. And I think that even if you look beyond that, there's some names that are outside my top 20 that I could easily see being top 15 catchers this year. So yeah, it's not wow, but it's good overall. We got some young guys coming in that are dynamic players to help out some of the older guys that are still hanging on. It's better than it has been. I agree with you.
It's actually very young, Ray. And that, I mean, you look at Varsho, Rauschman, William Contreras, Kirk, Melendez, Cal Riley's semi-young, but Keibert Ruiz. And there's still other guys coming up that are in the minors right now. That's, we used to always say all these young catchers, just catch, don't worry about hitting. These are guys are coming up with some skill sets as well.
Yeah, and the game is different now, right? Back in the day, you were an old dude that had no athleticism. You're good at blocking balls, and we hoped you'd pop 15 home runs, right? That was kind of the MO. Now it's different. Now we get more athletic guys. It's not that, you have to be some dumpy, slow guy catching. You can be an athletic player that can play other positions, as you noted. So I think the youngsters are bringing more athleticism, kind of like the tight end position in football, right? It's like there is more athleticism at the tight end spot than there was 25 years ago. I think it's the same way at the catcher spot.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Minnesota has a foul to give, so they're trying to go for the steal. And they get one. Kyle Anderson takes it away. Cat for the lead. Got it! A Warrior miscue at a brutal time.
They all hurt. Like, we got to close the game. We got to execute down the stretch. And I got to do a better job myself in helping them to execute.
Is it a concern at all that this is still happening this late in the season, like the poor execution down the stretch?
Of course, it's a concern. I mean, this is, you go into late season, into the playoffs, every game's going to be close. So we got to find a way to be better.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Better Sports Network.
You just heard Steve Kerr answering a stupid question. Oh, these concerns. Of course they're concerns. How are you not concerned at this point for the Warriors? I know you got to ask the question so you get your quote for the little article here, but this team, they can't do any damage on the road. At home, they play shoddy defense in the post. They play shoddy defense on the perimeter. And of course, it's a concern. There's so many concerns with this Warriors team right now. Can they still put it all together? We have to see. And by the way, at this point, if you're the Warriors, you got to start thinking about Andrew Wiggins not coming back. I mean, listening to a lot of shows and talking about basketball. Well, Wiggins. you got to assume at this point that he's not coming back. View if he comes back almost as an added bonus because this team has so many concerns right here. We'll talk about the slate and all that remains. That's why I've got a few props here that we're about to go over. But tonight, beginning at 7:30 Eastern time, it's the NBA on Bettorcast. Watch the Miami Heat at the Toronto Raptors and compete in our live Q&A contest on the Bettor Sports Network app. Watch, play, and win prizes by answering predictive questions about the games while having fun chatting with our community in real time. Join us for Bettorcast on the Bettor Sports Network app tonight starting at 7:30 Eastern. You can win a $100 gift card to the bettorsports.com collectible shop to purchase authentic hand-signed items from your favorite athletes. Tour Junkies will air on bettorsports.com. Almost Masters time. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But for right now, we're looking at 6 games tonight here with the Celtics double-digit favorites against the Washington Wizards. Still no Kuzma, still no Beal, and Gafford is actually going to be out for this game as well. Grant Williams was questionable, but it's looking like he will play. The Heat and the Raptors, a 5.5-point spread here. You're going to be checking that out on Bettorcast. But Jimmy Butler will be out for this game. Kyle Lowry is going to play. And recently, Gary Trent ruled out once again. Will Barton going to be out for the Toronto side. For Cleveland, Atlanta, just a 2-point spread, the highest total on the night on sports books at 239. No Jarrett Allen or Isaac Okoro for Cleveland in that game. For the Magic and the Grizzlies, Memphis favored by about 6.5 points. Ja Morant doubtful for this game, waiting on a final answer whether or not he was ruled out, but it's looking like he's not going to play. The Hornets taking on the Thunder with the Thunder favored by 9. You're not going to have Rozier in this game. Gordon Hayward is also doubtful with yet another injury, this time his thumb. Kelly Oubre is questionable. And then on the other side, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be out for this game. By the way, something to note with the Hornets, I'm sure, Roan, you saw this report, that the Hornets are going to be playing musical chairs with their centers the rest of the way. They're going to keep 2 active centers, and then they're going to deactivate one of them every single game. This game, it's Mark Williams that's not going to play tonight, meaning that when it comes to the Hornets, you're going to be seeing a lot of Nick Richards at this point. Then the Pelicans taking on the Warriors. Warriors favored by 8.5 at 235 total. Shocker, no Zion Williamson still or Jose Alvarado. Andrew Wiggins still out on the Warriors side. All right, Rome, we gave our first plays a little bit earlier, so where are you going to go first with props for the night?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jonas Valanciunas over 11.5 rebounds. Was on it yesterday. It cashed, and another good spot. He's been playing bigger minutes. So that's the thing I like. It's 11.5. It seems high, but he's been crushing it. So Jonas Valanciunas over 11.5 rebounds.
What'd you think of my first play? Can you see that happening once again?
It could. I mean, look, he didn't score a lot last night. You're kind of lucky you got there because he had 21 rebounds.
He did. Yep.
So, yeah, I felt more comfortable with the rebounds. So I'm going to stick with that.
What do you think of these 2 props from this game as well? Brandon Ingram over 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. CJ McCollum over 20.5 points.
I know Ingram has been balling out, but I'm a little worried about that one. It is a back-to-back, and you got to look at who they have been playing lately, man. It's been pretty bad. The Portland, the Clippers, Charlotte, San Antonio, Houston twice. When he went against the Lakers, 22-6-6. So he's taking advantage of a really soft schedule. And the last time he faced Golden State, he played 38 minutes, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
I want to think that he's going to feast off this momentum, and he's been playing so well. And I know last game it didn't work out as well, but still, the Warriors aren't a good team defensively, and I feel like he's going to be running the point a decent amount too, taking that pressure off of McCollum, making him into the off guard at times in this game. And I just think the assists especially will be there for him. We've seen it, and I know that you talked about the opponents, but the Warriors' backcourt defense and midcourt defense and defense in general are just as bad as these bad teams.
They're better at home, and they're home.
I mean, that is true. That is a good point. It is a stark difference, especially when it comes to how the team performs as a whole. What other games are you looking at for props tonight? Because, I mean, with no Jared Allen, I just thought Evan Mobley's PR line was a little too rich, man. I don't know if he's going to get there. Part of me wants to bet the double-double for him tonight, but I just have not placed that bet yet. Have you been looking at Mobley with no Allen?
Yeah, it's kind of high. I'm kind of waiting for them to put Karis LeVert props out because he's in the starting lineup.
Right. That's something we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, by the way, there's a boost tonight, and I'm kind of feeling it.
What do you got?
It is Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Trey Murphy to combine for 10 threes or more.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
Dude, I like that. 10 threes or more for all three.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Curry and Thompson can get there by themselves.
Yeah, they're at home too. We know Thompson's better at home. I mean, Curry tends to hit 4 to 5 every game.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the.
What can you max bet it at?
I think 50. Actually, it's kind of different in I've gotten better numbers here. I'm just making that Valanciunas bet because it was minus 115 on Bet365. It's higher juice on other books. On DraftKings, it is. Let's see what the max bet is. It is plus 100.
Yep.
The max bet is where it doesn't say.
I'm up
$10 for me. What? What is yours?
I'm trying to check right now here.
Damn, man. I'm gonna bet it then. Might as well. $10.
By the way, does DraftKings Sportsbook kick you out after like 5 minutes of inactivity?
Yeah, a lot of books do that.
I like that too, by the way. As annoying as it is signing in, it's not like, I mean, we work from home anyway. Who's on our computers? But I like that it kind of resets you a little bit, except in times like these where we're doing a live radio show and I'm looking for something. So, but I love that boost tonight, man. Like I said, I think that Thompson and Curry can get there alone. I'm also thinking that this is going to be a closer game. New Orleans, I know that the Warriors are good at home, but the Pelicans have been playing very good basketball lately. So I'm thinking that maybe this game stays close, meaning we don't have to worry about minutes getting limited on the Warriors side.
I also I think there's a good spot tonight for Darius Garland. With Jared Allen out. I know he hasn't been great, but I think this is a spot where Garland could put up some points, man, against the Hawks.
Yeah,
I mean, he's faced them twice this year. He had 26 and 33. I mean, he should get Trae Young, right?
Was Mitchell out any of those games?
Don't remember. But I don't think it matters.
Important.
I mean, this is a pace-up spot for the Cavs.
It is.
A bad defense. The total's high. I think Garland's in a good spot. I mean, I want Karis LeVert props, but I don't see him. It's probably going to be fit. He's starting, so it's probably going to be 15. Garland's 21.5.
Right.
I mean, I think it's pretty solid number for him. Jaren Jackson.
Max $50 for me, Roan, on the boost tonight.
Why? Why do I only get 10? Because I want to.
I live in a nicer state.
No, it's not that. It might have to do something with your account or I don't know, man. There's something. It's not fair. $10.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Hey, man, you've had boosts that are much more than me before in the past.
No, they're usually the same.
I thought there was a couple of times where I could max bet it at $10. I max betted the boost tonight. Watch them go 0 for life now, shooting threes.
I cannot see that happen.
Dude, I have bro.
One of them is going to hit.
Tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Even a bad game for Klay Thompson is 2 threes. I mean, Curry's had 4, 2, 2, 5, 3, 4, 8, 4, 6, 4. Okay, so he had a couple with 2 in there. Sixers and Mavericks. Okay. Let's see what Klay. And we know Klay is always better at home. Klay has had 5, 6, 1. That was at Dallas. 5, 2 on the road, 2 on the road, 3 on the road, 8 at home, 4 at home, 2 on the road. I mean, I know threes, but it's Klay and Curry, man.
Listen, man, I believe
Trey Murphy's been. He only had 1 against Portland yesterday. Ooh.
Yeah,
but then he had 10 against the Clippers. 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 9, 2. So if he gets 3, and Curry gets 4, you only need 3 from Klay. I mean, this is absolutely reasonable.
Which is why they only.
which is why they only allow me to bet $10. Clowns.
Because you've hit too many of these promotions at this point. They got you flagged.
And the one, was it yesterday? Yeah, we didn't play it. It hit.
I thought you were going in on that.
I didn't, and it hit. Sabonis didn't have rebounds for a while. Paul got the assist easily. He had 4 in the first quarter.
And
he
that
got
was
to 10.
the leg that we were concerned about.
Yeah, and then Sabonis got there, and Jokic got there. So, and that was plus 200, man.
Wow, this one was just plus 100 that we just did. So,
so what about Jaren Jackson? So over
21.5
points, or even PRAs. I mean, with no Ja against the Magic, we know he's.
You know
better
what,
at
man?
home.
I want to do something from there, and the Tyus Jones props just aren't appealing to me. So I was looking at something for Memphis. So I'd be all right with Jackson.
I mean, look at I think these are. Wait, Ja's been back for 2 games, right?
Yes.
So his the 5 games without Ja previous 37, 28, 31, 28, 25.
So you're just looking at the points there, or are you looking at the?
I mean, you could do PRAs too. I mean, his boards are up and down, but I mean, yeah, I mean, so he's had 30 in that 5-game span there without Ja. He had PRAs were 35, 34, 41, 33, and 49. And it's the Magic.
I think we got to go this direction tonight. I'm fine with it.
I might, because Jones doesn't take as many shots as Ja does.
People worry when you bet against the Magic about the pace slowing down. That doesn't concern me one bit with this team. This team has massive holes. And yeah, teams can do whatever they want. I know they've shown signs of playing a little bit better in recent games. I'm not scared off by the slow pace for this. Wendell Carter is going to get eaten up in the post tonight by this guy. And if you notice something, I think you actually were the one to talk with me about this. Xavier Tillman isn't being utilized as much.
Mm-hmm.
They're opting more to go with Jaren Jackson. And you were mentioning Santi Aldama as well. And I was talking with Impemba about that too. They're utilizing Santi Aldama a little bit more as a stretch 4, kind of the stretch 4 that they have. And Jaren Jackson at times goes in the post. So I think that's resulted in better production for him. So you going to go in on the PRAs or the points?
Kind of lean the points a little more.
Nice. He's been getting there. No Ja Morant opens up a lot of opportunity for this team. We're going to talk more NBA plays coming up, but I want to get our guy, AB, the resource, Adam Bernard, involved a little bit as well, so we can talk about some hockey bets as well. We normally do a little hockey on Tuesdays here, so let's keep consistency.
Oh, I got one bet. Sorry, got to get this one in.
What?
Pascal Siakam over 12.5 rebounds and assists.
You're going for it tonight?
He's gone over this in 7 straight.
Tonight's matchup for them, you'll be able to see it here with them going up against Miami. No Jimmy Butler. That's going to leave the lane a lot more open. I like that, Ron. I'm glad that you interrupted my out to give that belt.
Gotta do it sometimes.
You got to do it sometimes, man. That's why you're the off guard and I'm the point guard here. Tuesdays are Tour Junkies Golf Days on Bettor Sports Network. Join David Barnett and Pat Perry for entertaining and informative golf talk, including interviews with PGA Tour and LIV Golf players and caddies. Have more fun with golf and win daily fantasy sports and betting with Tour Junkies tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on bettorsports.com and on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch at Bettor Network. Let's talk with AB about some hockey props he's liking and some predictions for Puck tonight on BSN.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk. Done better.
Monday Night Rants, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he not? I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I can do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
No way you know.
and Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14.
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay. Keep on going.
15, we have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17, now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
My goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. Yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern on Bettor Sports Network. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Fensty and Ronis back with you here on the Playbook. Let's talk a little bit of hockey to close things out, and to now join us to give some of his hockey plays is our producer, the resource, AB Adam Bernard, stopping by here. Let's talk about what teams are on tonight's slate of games. You got the Lightning facing the Hurricanes there with Carolina favored. You've got Nashville taking on Boston. You've got, which John and Pemba, by the way, our boy from FantasyAlarm.com, at this game right now, getting ready to watch his Bruins. The Blue Jackets taking on Ronis's Rangers. The Canadiens taking on the Flyers. The Penguins visiting the Detroit Red Wings. The Canucks taking on the Blues. The Stars taking on the Blackhawks. The Kings versus the Flames. The Oilers versus the Golden Knights. And the Jets taking on the Sharks. AB, what's going on, man? You feeling good about this slate?
It's a 10-game Tuesday. I love Tuesdays in the NHL. You get a lot of the bulk of your games are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So these are the best days to gamble because you get your biggest variety of options.
What are you thinking tonight there? Give us a play or two, and then we'll readdress afterwards.
So I did have 3 plays for tonight, but I'm taking one of them off the board because a goalie situation changed, and now I don't like it. So we'll stick with the 2 I like for tonight. First up, Kings money line is plus 115 in a few spots. They're playing at Calgary tonight. Kings are on a roll right now. They've won 10 of their last 12. They've averaged 5 goals per game over their last 6. Calgary has won 2 or 3, but they beat the 2 of the worst teams in the league. The Flames are not playing with the sense of urgency that you would expect out of a team that's still alive for a playoff spot, while the Kings are the exact opposite. They're hitting their stride at the right time. They're 10-1 in their last 11 divisional games, so got to take the Kings at plus money here. That's my first one right there.
And what's the other one?
Dallas puck line minus a puck and a half at minus 115. They're kicking off a 3-game road trip that ends in Colorado, and they've got a chance to get 4 easy points in a tight division race tonight in Chicago, and then they go to Arizona after this. They have lost 4 or 6, and they're coming off a game they should have won, but this is a great bounce back spot for the Stars. Blackhawks have lost 5 in a row and losing by an average of 3.2 goals per game in that stretch, and they're last in goals scored per game at 2.4. So there's no reason to think Chicago can keep it close tonight.
What about any of the totals here, AB? I mean, what do you look for in general when looking to bet, let's just say, overs? Because common over in hockey for goals 6.5. What indicators do you look for, especially in recent games, when judging whether or not to take it over?
For me, you look at the goal totals and who they've played over the last few games and kind of get a little bit of a gauge there. I'll give you an example of why I did have a total I liked tonight. Initially, I liked the Habs Flyers over 6.5. If both teams were trotting out their usual goalies, I would have been all about this. Both teams don't play defense. Both teams like to score goals and play offense. But in Montreal tonight, you've got somebody making his first NHL start. And then in Philadelphia tonight, you have like their third string goalie. And while neither team really plays defense, when you have a young guy making his first starter, you've got some third string goalie coming in. Teams tend to focus on defense a little bit more because of that and play a little bit harder. So I can make an argument both ways, but I had to take off the board. I initially loved the over in that game. Now I don't want to touch it.
Anything else you like tonight? Player props or anything like that?
One other thing I like on the Vegas money line tonight, plus 105 at FanDuel. They're in Edmonton. These two teams just met in a very entertaining game Saturday night. Vegas won in overtime. Edmonton played last night and they won in Arizona, but they are 1-4 on the second end of a back-to-back. Both teams are red hot tonight, but give me the Vegas money line right now. I think they can put some distance between them and Edmonton for the division.
BSN roving reporter Nick Durst saying Rangers on the puck line in our chat here on the Playbook. What do you think about that, AB?
I did look at that. But in one spot at BetMGM, it's 2.5. So forget that. And it's minus 162 and minus 160 at 1.5. So it's juiced. They probably take it and cover it, but it's juiced.
There are some hockey bets right there from our boy Adam Bernard here, AB. Also, by the way, my Golden Knights, I'm attached to them at this point. I got some futures riding on them in the FSGA prop bets and futures draft. Yaron, the Rangers here. Would you go to a playoff game, you think? Would you take a show off to go to a playoff game?
Yeah, if I can afford the tickets.
I mean, let me ask you something. Let's say a game starts at 8 o'clock. You think you'd be able to make it to MSG with the show ending at 7?
Depends on what time the train leaves here.
Oh, okay. That's man.
Because the train is like, it's the train schedule. So it would takes me about 30, 35 minutes to get to Penn Station. So if the train is 7:10, 7:15, and you let me leave 5 minutes early, then yeah, I could do it.
Nice. Well, I'll let you leave 5 minutes early if you help me out with a fantasy basketball emergency pickup. I need a player tonight, Rome. What do you think? Who would you rather go with here? Kispert versus Boston, with obviously Beal, Kuzma out. Daniel Gafford's out as well, for argument's sake. Santi Aldama is out there. Or I could go with like a Svi Michaeluk. What do you think between the first two?
I guess Kispert. I actually am putting him in a same game parlay to score 10 points. So
who, Kispert tonight?
Yeah.
Nice. Kispert versus the Celtics, it is.
Oh, another prop I like. It's gone over an 8 straight. Jaylen Brown over 28.5 points and assists.
Dude, I got him in this dynasty league. I need him to pop off big time tonight because I'm starting to get the injury bug here. Giannis missing a game, Markkanen missing a game. Oh, no, Markkanen was actually able to play, so I had him. But then Butler missing for me tonight. So I'm rooting you on, Rome, when it comes to that, man. So let's get this, man. Let's get me that Dynasty League championship. I've taken out the top 2 seeds thus far, and now I got to take out who I believe is the 3rd seed here. So you rooting for me, Rome?
Yes.
Nice. I love that right there. I love that. With that here, Ron, I mean, I'm looking at some of the other props, and again, I go back to that New Orleans prop. We grazed on it, but the one prop that I'm going to ask you, would you consider McCollum over 20.5 points tonight?
I don't. I'd have to look at it further, but I lean no.
Yes, leaning no right there. Will there be a blowout in Oakland tonight for the Golden State Warriors? Well, we'll have to wait and see. For our producers, Tony Rivers, Anthony Rivera, Adam Bernard, AB, The Resource. He's Ronas. I'm Fence. The Better Cast coming up, as well as the Tour Junkies.